Thank you for tuning in to Exeter TV. Exeter TV is the town's public and government access channels, available on Comcast Channels 6 and 22. Channel 6 is your channel. If you have an idea for a program, want to host your own talk show, or submit a film, we're here to get your content on television. On Channel 22, we bring you live and replay coverage of government meetings and other town updates. A third channel, Blue Hawk Media, is operated by SAU 16 and can be found on Channel 8, with all your school sports, events, and meetings. You can watch Exeter TV online at exeternh.tv, Apple TV, and on Roku. Find us on social media for extra content. Subscribe to our YouTube channel and hit the bell to get notified about live streams and new content. Tune in to our platforms every other Friday to watch the Exeter Biweekly Report, with recaps of recent events, updates from town departments, and messages from nonprofits in your area. If you head to our website, exeternh.tv, we invite you to sign up to our newsletter to receive monthly updates about new content, upcoming meetings, and more. We'd like to thank you for taking the time to watch Exeter TV and hope that you tune in to our other content as well.
Okay, good evening. As the hour is reached 6:30, I will call the Town of Exeter Select Board meeting to order. The first business we have this evening is we have 3 interviews for various committees, so the board will reconvene for our regular business meeting at 7 p.m. Thank you.
Thank you for tuning in to Exeter TV. Exeter TV is the town's public and government access channels, available on Comcast Channels 6 and 22. Channel 6 is your channel. If you have an idea for a program, want to host your own talk show, or submit a film, we're here to get your content on television. On Channel 22, we bring you live and replay coverage of government meetings and other town updates. A third channel, Blue Hawk Media, is operated by SAU 16 and can be found on Channel 8, with all your school sports, events, and meetings. You can watch Exeter TV online at exeternh.tv, Apple TV, and on Roku. Find us on social media for extra content. Subscribe to our YouTube channel and hit the bell to get notified about live streams and new content. Tune in to our platforms every other Friday to watch the Exeter Biweekly Report, with recaps of recent events, updates from town departments, and messages from nonprofits in your area. If you head to our website, exeternh.tv, we invite you to sign up to our newsletter to receive monthly updates about new content, upcoming meetings, and more. We'd like to thank you for taking the time to watch Exeter TV and hope that you tune in to our other content as well. For this week's report, Exeter sees high voter turnout at the general election. Share your ideas for a Pearpoint Park in a new survey. Eyes on Exeter exhibit explores the town's past through photographs. Daughters of the American Revolution unveil historic marker at cemetery. And one lucky 101-year-old gets her last wish granted. For Exeter TV, I'm Bob Glowacki, and this is the Exeter Biweekly Report. Let's get started. Thanks for tuning into the show today. If you're new or returning to the channel, please like this video and subscribe and hit the bell to get notified about new content. We're hoping to hit over 2,000 YouTube subscribers by the end of the year. Only 4 more bi-weekly reports to go till then. For For our first segment, Exeter saw huge lines and turnout at the Tuesday, November 5th general election. We stopped by the polls throughout the day to see for ourselves. Joining the rest of the country, Exeter voters cast their ballots for president alongside representatives to send to Washington, D.C. and Concord during the general election. Lines at one point stretched all the way from the check-in tables to Linden Street. When we arrived at the polls, the army of 60 volunteers were doing a great job keeping things moving. Residents don't only show up on election day to vote, but to man the polls. Volunteers ran the check-in tables, assisted with directing lines, and even handed out the all-important I voted stickers. A quick thanks goes to Otto's Pizza for donating enough food to keep all of these volunteers and staff fed all day. The hard work of volunteers and the willingness to turn out was much appreciated by the public, as one voter explained.
We came through this morning around 10, and the line was all the way around the building and out onto the street. So we said, well, we're going to come back later. And so we came back now, and it's about half as long. It only took about 25 minutes. We're just thrilled at such a turnout. This is just fantastic that so many people are dedicated to giving their opinion. We think it's great. I think it's wonderful.
With 10,418 ballots cast in the 2024 election, Exeter came just short of its 2020 turnout, which saw 10,422 voters. Exeter had 748 new registered voters, bringing the total number of voters in town to 13,418. The turnout percentage for this election was over 77%. Exeter chose Kamala Harris as their pick for president with 6,783 votes to Donald Trump's 3,385. The down-ballot races also went blue, with candidates receiving nearly twice as many votes as their Republican counterparts in all contests except for the governor's race, where Kelly Ayotte received 4,099 votes to Joyce Craig's 5,974. Full results can be found on the town's election page, exeternh.gov/election. Ever wondered what was behind the fence between the Chocolatier and Cornicello on Water Street? It's soon to be Exeter's newest public park, and the town needs your input on what should go there. Once home to a jewelry shop, the lot at 23 Water Street has remained vacant for over 30 years after a fire in 1990. The newly formed Pearpoint Park Stakeholders Advisory Committee has been hard at work for the last few months to form recommendations to give to the Select Board about the future of the park. To that end, the committee recently launched an online survey which can be found on the town website. We met up with one of the committee members, Amanda Kelly, to take a look at the vacant lot and see what's behind the fence.
So it's a pretty small space. We're thinking of it like a pocket park. It's got a pretty steep grade to start with, but that doesn't mean we're going to end up that way. We have this fantastic granite on site that actually, looks like a pile of rubble, but it's pretty cool because it's antique granite. That might be a nice feature to use in some capacity. And then we have this amazing river view. The park extends to just shy of this cement wall here. That is owned by New Hampshire Fish and Game, and that won't be changing. That is not our property. But the rest of this can become whatever we might envision.
The survey will be open for responses until the end of December. The committee also plans to attend several events and have suggestion boxes for those not able to take the survey online.
We're not asking for any specifics. We're not asking for you to vote on anything. Just what do you see in this space? And then once we get 800 or 1,000 responses is what we're hoping for, we'll start to categorize those and find the themes and find what people are generally interested in, and we'll start to narrow it down from there. But rather than us guiding the process, we want the citizens to guide the process.
To find the survey online, head to the town website, exeternh.gov. While Exeter TV takes pride in filming events across town and capturing Exeter's story, there's one man who has us beat. Curious to learn more? The Exeter Historical Society currently has a new exhibit and recently hosted a program dedicated to the man behind the lens of Ben's photo. The town hall was packed on Wednesday, November 6th for the Exeter Historical Society's monthly lecture. This week's talk was entitled Eyes on Exeter, referring not to many people, but one person in particular. The man behind the lens of Ben's photo, Ben Swazinski.
I'm honored to ask to speak tonight and represent the family, to share with you a very small sampling from the body of work done by our father, Ben, in his 50-plus years as a professional photographer here in Exeter. By my rough estimate, Ben took over 30,000 individual shots with his Graflex camera, covering virtually every aspect of life in his beloved community, his lifelong home, doing the thing he loved best.
Jim went on to showcase his father's work throughout the decades, depicting the people, places, and events from Exeter, even documenting cutting-edge technology used by town departments past. The full talk is now available on Exeter TV in case you missed it, and the Eyes on Exeter exhibit is now on display at the Historical Society through November 26th, with a special reception on Friday, November 8th from 5 to 8 p.m. Jim Swazinski is working with the Historical Society to donate the collection so that it can live on as a resource for future generations. As Historical Society curator and co-executive director Barbara Imkunis explains.
It doesn't just tell us about the event that's going on, whatever he's photographing on that particular day, say the Lions Club auction, but we can also see things in the background of the photos. So we're looking at what people were wearing, really wearing, not what a Sears and Roebuck catalog shows us people were wearing, but what they were actually wearing, what was practical for this town. We can find out if it's a street scene, the things that are behind them. We can sometimes date the photos by whether there are parking meters on the street. We can look at them and know what the weather was looking like that day. I mean, there's so many things that a historian can get out of a visual depiction of what's going on in the town. And that, for us, is fantastic.
Summing up the collection, Jim speaks about how it not only demonstrates Exeter's past, but his father's devotion to the community.
Just an appreciation for the fact that it's the work of a single person that was committed and really devoted to the town of Exeter. And they reciprocated, provided a living for him and a community and the sense of purpose that a lot of people look for in their lives, hopefully all of us.
The Daughters of the American Revolution recently held a ceremony to unveil a historic marker dedicated to the black veterans of the American Revolutionary War. We were there to mark the event.
On Saturday, November 2nd, the Daughters of the American Revolution took to Winter Street Cemetery to celebrate the unveiling of their newest historic marker. Set in place on the Front Street side of the cemetery, the marker honors New Hampshire's Black Revolutionary War veterans, reading, "Many black soldiers and sailors, including those whose service went unrecorded, played a crucial role in the Revolutionary War," bringing light to the two black veterans whose final resting place lay within the very cemetery, Private Jude Hall and Private Tobias Cutler, whom the Daughters, specifically Jude Hall's last living relative, laid wreaths upon once the marker had been unveiled. Taking a trolley, the Daughters moved to the Lad Gilman House in the lot of the American Independence Museum. There, the Daughters and other representatives in town, such as the Historic Society's Barbara Rankunis and Town Selectman Julie Gilman, spoke on behalf of the Lad Gilman House, Exeter's historic contributions to the Revolutionary War, and other such things, ending the day with their second and final marker unveiled right outside of the museum, upon the steps honoring Revolutionary War patriots, commemorating their achievements in helping give America independence. For more information about the Daughters of the American Revolution, as well as the historic markers around town, you can visit their website at exeter.nhsodar.org.
And for our last segment, you may have heard about one local centenarian that was featured in the news recently for getting one of her last wishes granted. We wanted to learn more about that wish and the community effort that made it happen. Gabe Perez has the story.
On the eve of her 101st birthday, Langdon Place of Exeter resident Virginia Murphy had one wish: to dance the waltz one more time.
I've loved dancing all my life. But the joke was, I would like to find somebody that's young enough, willing enough to dance the waltz with me, not just shuffle their feet, to please me. That's my last asking before I pass on.
Starting from a young age of 4, Virginia would take a broom and mop and shape them to imitate the footing positions of Scottish dancing, which helped her adapt and visualize how the dance would work, beginning her long lifetime experiences of dance.
I heard about a better teacher who had theater experience, And when I tried to go there, my family couldn't afford it. So she said, if you're willing to help me teach, like the little children and ballroom, that will pay for your lessons. So I did that through high school.
At 101 years old, her wish seemed like a long shot, but as Virginia's birthday drew closer, Denise Petty, executive director of Langdon Place, couldn't stop thinking about Virginia's one wish.
We knew we were going to throw a little party. We invited family to come. We were going to have cake and sing happy birthday and things like that. And I just started thinking, for whatever reason, of that comment she had made and thought, well, wouldn't that be nice if we could have somebody there to dance a waltz with her? Probably about 2 weeks prior to her birthday party, I threw a comment up on the Exeter Facebook page, hoping that somebody would just, maybe some nice gentleman in the area that knew how to dance would step up and say, I'll come in and dance with her. And it just blew up. It was the town of Exeter just wrapping their arms around Virginia.
One resident, Kim Lennon, owner of Crystal Ballroom, got in contact with Denise and brought in professional dancer Sam.
He hid around the corner, and I just kind of announced and said, thank you all for attending, and we have a little surprise. Little birdie told me that Virginia wanted to dance another waltz with a really good partner, and so for your birthday, we got you a really good partner.
Sam came out and he looked like a knight in shining armor. Sam held me well, gently, and risked saying to me, you want to try a twist? And I thought, I'm going to land right on my you-know-what, and that will be embarrassing. But he held me firm, but gently, and gave me the room to move.
Virginia wasn't alone for this special occasion. Many of her family members took time off from work in the middle of the week to be there for her special dance.
That was my main blessing. That was my main blessing, because I thought I was only going to have 4, but more showed up. And my little great-granddaughter showed up. That kind of filled in the outer places and made it perfect.
While Virginia and Sam danced, the people of Exeter had nobody to thank but themselves for the incredible effort that was given to Denise to give Virginia a birthday to remember.
The dance itself was, I don't know if there was a dry eye in the room. How do we top it at 102? Well, we have a year to think of that.
Dancing with Sam made me feel very unsure of myself, but I wanted it that bad that I was willing to risk it.
So you would say that it was worth the risk?
It was a blessing, a big with a capital B.
That does it for this week's report. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe to help us spread the word. And head over to the town website and subscribe to the town's email newsletter to get this show and other local news sent straight to your inbox. For Exeter TV, I'm Bob Glowacki, and this has been the Exeter Biweekly Report. Have a good weekend, Exeter. And thank you, Daylight Savings Time. Thank you for tuning in to Exeter TV. Exeter TV is the town's public and government access channels, available on Comcast Channels 6 and 22. Channel 6 is your channel. If you have an idea for a program, want to host your own talk show, or submit a film, we're here to get your content on television. On Channel 22, we bring you live and replay coverage of government meetings and other town updates. A third channel, Blue Hawk Media, is operated by SAU 16 and can be found on Channel 8, with all your school sports, events, and meetings. You can watch Exeter TV online at exeternh.tv, Apple TV, and on Roku. Find us on social media for extra content. Subscribe to our YouTube channel and hit the bell to get notified about live streams and new content. Tune in to our platforms every other Friday to watch the Exeter Biweekly Report, with recaps of recent events, updates from town departments, and messages from nonprofits in your area. If you head to our website, exeternh.tv, we invite you to sign up to our newsletter to receive monthly updates about new content, upcoming meetings, and more. We'd like to thank you for taking the time to watch Exeter TV and hope that you tune in to our other content as well.
Good evening. As the hour has reached 7 o'clock, I am going to call the Exeter Select Board meeting to order. Good evening, Exeter. Good evening to my colleagues on the board, respective town staff, everybody in attendance this evening, and certainly those watching at home on TV or on the internet. I'd like to start by introducing the board. To my right, Selectman Dan Chartrand. Good evening.
Good evening, Mr. Chair.
Our Vice Chair, Selectwoman Molly Cowan. Good evening.
Hi, everyone.
To my left, our Clerk, Selectwoman Julie Gilman. Good evening.
Good evening, everyone.
Selectwoman Nancy Belanger. Good evening.
Good evening, everyone.
Our Town Manager, Mr. Russ Dean.
Good evening.
Good evening. And my name is Nico Papakostandis. Good evening to all of you. And we have a special treat this evening to start off our meeting. We have two groups from Exeter who are our future leaders. And I'm so excited that they've accepted an invitation to come and share their story with us at the start of the meeting. First group of leaders is the Exeter Seahawks tackle football team, who just completed their season at 9-0, and they won the championship game against Dover on Sunday, and I believe it was 20-0. And they reached out, and they wanted to come and introduce themselves to the town, and they wanted to show off this amazing trophy that I hope the TV camera is capturing. They are all here in their uniforms with their coaches and their parents. And I'm going to invite Coach Garcia up to the podium to say a few words. But first, I want to thank all of you. Congratulations, first of all, but I want to thank you because what's on your shirt? What's it say?
Exeter.
Exeter. And not only are you champs, but what you did also, most importantly, is you played a tough team, and you played showing good sportsmanship, humility, and you played with dignity, and you represented your town very well. So I want to thank you for that. Coach, would you like to say a few words?
Hi. Hello. Perfect. Yes, my name is Championship Coach Robert Garcia. Nice to have you here. I'd like to read off a couple names. First of all, we spent many, many hours together in the evenings for about 3 months straight. A lot of nights, a lot of hours together. The attendance at practice was nearly perfect, which is why we had a perfect season. 9-0 doesn't happen all the time. Only one team in NFL history had an undefeated season. It wasn't the Patriots. It was the Dolphins in 72 and the Exeter Seahawks in 2024. So congratulations, gentlemen. Coaches I'd like to thank, of course, first of all, Thaddeus Brown, thank you so much. Coach Chris Hilson, thank you so much. And Coach Rob Thompson, thank you so much. Without you guys, this would not be possible. For our players, real quick roll call. We got Elijah Goldman, Julian Hickey, Jack Hamilton, Thaddeus Brown, Arlo Cunningham, Thaddeus Beam, Blake Trottier, Noah Reeves, Wyatt French, Dom Fulcino, Ben Warlick, Ford Thompson, Bradley Zakian, Jack Thompson, Jace Guglielme, Calvin Hilson, Guillaume, Sam Donegan, Tyler Curtis, Aiden Moffitt, Oliver Brencher, Finn French, Liam Garcia, and Levi Seymour. Gentlemen, you guys should be very proud. I hope you keep riding this wave this week. I hope it brings you into another season. I can't wait to work with you guys next year. 9-0, undefeated, never lost. Thank you. All right.
Thanks for coming.
Thank you for coming in, showing off the trophy.
Hey. Oh, yes.
Yeah,
They're all over.
He's get a whole day.
Trophy dance.
All right.
Good job.
Thank you so much. Gentlemen, let's leave.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Good job, guys.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Have a
I'm
great
Dominic.
Thanksgiving.
Yeah, you bet.
Thank you. Yes, I know. I'm 4 times down so good at football. I'm better. I'm Calvin Hilson. We won the championship. This is my mic on YouTube.
That was
This
great.
is my mic on Fortnite. I cook.
Yeah, thanks, Chris.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Have a good Thanksgiving.
Thanks. Yeah, you bet. Thank you. Good job.
Some accent on
Come on in, guys.
Here with the mic.
Just remember your mics are live. Which means they can hear you.
Yeah, they're on. Yeah.
Come on in, guys.
Come on in. Have a seat. Hi.
That should be the spot, but why am I
Well, welcome. So by way of introduction, these are the We Below Scouts Pack 323. And this is Jackie Tassinari that works with them.
Hi.
And Jackie reached out a little over a month ago and was looking for somebody to come in to talk about elections and voting and democracy. And I got to meet these future leaders at one of their meetings, and we talked about how you go about getting elected. We talked about voting, and we talked a lot about local government. And so I didn't know if Jackie, if you wanted to grab that mic, it does come off, and maybe the boys could introduce themselves. And if you remember, you've got your hand up already. You know what I'm going to ask?
I have a question.
Okay, go ahead.
If I have a mic right here,
Yeah.
is it okay if I speak out that?
When it's your turn, you can use that
Okay.
mic. So I was going to ask if maybe you could all introduce yourselves and let us know who you are, and if you can remember some of your ideas that you thought the select board should be looking at. I know there was one that was interested in more sewer lines, and I'm hoping he's here tonight because I'd love to hear about that again. So if you'd like to introduce yourselves, you could start, sir.
Hi, my name is Philip.
Hi, Philip. Good to see you again. You want to use that microphone?
Hi, my name is Wyatt.
Hi, Wyatt. Good to see you again.
My name is Rory.
My name is August.
Hey, August. Good to see you again.
My name is Nate. My name is Alden.
Good to see you all.
My name is Ian.
Hi, Ian. And this gentleman here recognized us when he came to vote with his parents, and couldn't wait to be here with us tonight. So, do you remember what you thought maybe what we should do in town as a select board?
Not really.
Not really. Okay. I shouldn't have put you on the spot. Do any of you remember what you talked about? Yes, sir.
Are you going to say?
It's okay if you come back to me
I can
because
come
I
back to
forgot
you,
about
sure.
it.
Do any of you remember? Yes, sir.
We talked about voting and like local government.
Mm-hmm.
Does anyone remember any of the ideas you had about things that they could work on?
I remember.
Smaller, like less trash, because that kind of like lets off poisonous gas that causes global warming.
Thank you for saying that. We have when you get to be 18, we have a committee that you can work on, and we're going to hook you up with Mr. Chartrand. Okay?
We're thinking of planting flowers at the YMCA.
I think that'd be beautiful.
We could have more shops or restaurants to make the town better.
What kind of restaurant would you like?
McDonald's and Burger King and Applebee's.
We have 3.
How about you, sir?
We should have more holidays because then we get more days off from school.
Yeah.
Sounds like a plan.
I have ideas for holidays. On January 20th.
Mm-hmm.
It should be President's Day
Oh,
because we already have a new president now.
That's right. How many? I know you went. How many of you were able to come out with your parents to vote? Did any of you get to come out? I know I saw you.
I voted in the town of Newfields
Okay. All right.
with her.
Well, thank you for doing that. Yes,
You're
sir.
welcome.
Go ahead. Did you want to say something? No? Okay. Well, I want to thank you for inviting me to come talk about voting, and I'm glad that some of you were able to go out and see the voting process with your parents. And, you're always welcome back here to visit us, and you're welcome to, tell Jackie what some ideas you might have, and I would love to come out and talk with you again, and I know my colleagues here would love to stay in touch with you as well. And you are, I told you this when I met with you, you are our future leaders. And I think that we all agree, we hope that someday we see you sitting here and making decisions to make our town better. And I think we've already signed you up for the Sustainability Committee.
Is this the troop that did the collection of food over the weekend?
Yes. The PAC 323 was one of the groups that did it in Exeter. It was us and the troop. 323.
Yes, we did.
And if you have any ideas, if there are things that you want to do around town and you're looking for projects, definitely reach out to us, because we can put you in touch with some of our departments and some of our committees. If they have things that you might be able to help, we would love to have you help us. So let's keep that communication open.
Thank you. I do know our scouts they brainstormed an idea for a community service project where they really wanted to focus in on animals. They wanted us to volunteer at the SPCA, but we haven't gotten much movement there. So I was going to tell the boys before we left here tonight, we were going to try to do a collection of like food, dog food, cat food, toys throughout the towns that we serve, and collect them and donate them. So be on the lookout for it.
Thank you. And if we could be of any help, you can reach out to the town manager's office.
It's movable if you want.
He may be a performer, so
I can tell. Yeah. A budding performer.
Give me back the mic.
Do you have any?
No, it's just really wonderful to see you. I'm glad our chair was able to come talk to you, and that you came out tonight, and I hope you come back.
Thank you.
Always welcome. All right. Well, thank you very much. You're welcome to stay and listen to our meeting, or if not, then we will see.
I can help you with your meeting.
Yeah. And I might need help.
Can we all stay? Yeah, we could all stay and help you guys.
All right.
Yeah, scouts are helpful.
Scouts are very helpful. So, all right. So what we're going to do now is we're going to move on to what we call public comment. And sometimes there are folks here that want to talk with the select board about something that's not on our agenda. So we open it up to public comment. And I will do that at this time. And I will also look to see if there's anyone online. Because that was one of the things that came out of the pandemic, is that folks can now watch our meetings via Zoom. And during public comment or during public hearings, folks that maybe can't get out to come into this room, or if they have to stay home, they can watch via Zoom, and they can raise their hand when it's appropriate, and we can call on them, and then they come on that video. But there's no one there tonight, so we'll move on from public comment. And next, we have 2 sets of minutes to approve.
So before we do, can I just
please.
say thank you again, because now we're going to be going with the flow, so when you go to leave, thank you, parents, for coming too.
Yes, thank you.
So thank you, everyone indulged me at our last meeting. I did find one correction for the meeting minutes of Monday, October 15th, 2025. If you go to page 4, paragraph 4, where it starts, Mr. Sharple said strategy 4 is. If we go to the last sentence in that paragraph, it currently says, Ms. Belanger said this should be coordinated with the Pleasant Street winter permit parking. And I went back and watched the video. What I said was, I asked if, let me just get my little sticky note. I asked if it would be the same permit parking process.
Okay.
So that's what I would like to amend it to say.
Okay, good, fair. Were there any other revisions or amendments to the October 15th? Okay. Seeing none, then I would entertain a motion to approve the Exeter Select Board regular meeting minutes of October 15th, 2024 as amended.
So moved.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries 5-0. And I would ask the board if there were any revisions or amendments to the minutes of the October 28th, 2024 meeting? No? Okay. Seeing none, I would entertain a motion to approve the Exeter Select Board regular meeting minutes of October 28th, 2024.
So moved.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries 4-0 with one exemption. With one extension. Thank you, Selectwoman Cowan. Thank you. Next, we need to take up the resignation of Judy Rowan from the Pearpoint Park Committee. You'll see Judy's correspondence is in our packet. It's a result of just some time restraints, but we appreciate the work that she has done, and we do hope that at some point, when time allows, she can come back, because I know she's got some talents once that moves along further. So, with regret, I would entertain a motion to accept the resignation of Judy Rowan from Pearpoint Park Committee.
So moved, with thanks.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries 5-0. And Mr. Dean, I think we need to assign this committee to the Tax Exemption and Credit Advisory Committee.
Yes, we need a board member to fill the select board spot.
So I'll open that up for discussion. You volunteering?
I have a suggest for that idea. I think we should do somewhere where the town of Exeter votes for a select board to fill in that chair.
You mean you want to add another select board member to
Yeah.
the, okay.
We could tell that by voting. So you could ask a bunch, two people to run for the select board. If they say yes, then that's what they're each going to be an opponent against each other to see who's going to be filling in that chair.
So the reason we have that extra chair is that some of our boards, committees, and commissions have 7 members. The select board historically has had 5 members, and the town manager sits with us as well. So that's why there's 6 of us up here. But sometimes this is full. For instance, the planning board has 7 members. So that chair is not empty when the planning board's in session.
And when I was a child, there were only 3 select board members.
There you go.
Yeah.
And it's often better to have an odd number so you don't tie on your votes.
But it is odd to have an empty chair, isn't it?
No.
At least you guys have an even number and a bunch of people.
There you go.
Yeah, but only 5 of us vote.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I do not vote.
Russ does not vote.
He's the town manager.
Yes.
Yeah.
So back to the issue at hand. You had expressed an interest, Selectwoman Cowan.
I had, and I am interested in taking it on. I also have very limited availability, especially during the day. So if I do take it on, I often need a backup or a somebody who can slot in, and I do think it's going to be worthwhile to have 2 of us tagged in on this committee.
Could I offer is there a committee that you'd like to relinquish to take this on?
No, I really like keeping the
You wanna
water,
keep the
yeah,
water.
because I've been there for 6 years and it meets quarterly.
Well, I think it's the daytime.
The daytime
schedule
is really tricky.
Mr. Dean, is this a committee that you envision meeting in the day, or?
It depends on the people that are on it. We've set up the first meeting tentatively for December 4th at 6:30, but it certainly could meet during the day if.
No, I don't think she wants to meet during the day. Yeah.
Oh, non-meet during the day. Yeah.
It is too hard to meet during the day.
Yeah, so we could meet at night and are planning on meeting at night for the first meeting.
So you're looking at December 4th, that's the first Wednesday of a month.
That's good.
Yes.
Selectwoman Gilman?
Yeah, just a question. Are we going to have our tax assessor, deputy tax assessor involved in these meetings?
Yes, that's the plan.
Okay. Because she knows everything.
Right.
Yes.
And are you planning to attend?
I am.
Okay.
And I would like to do it, but it is often, I just don't want to sign up for something and then not have a backup plan.
I'll be I'd like to be the alternate because all of those exemptions have to pass through the State House first anyway, so.
So you're willing to take it for now?
I am. I am very interested. I think it's going to be challenging but also, especially with the tough budget year that we're going to have in the legislature, it's going to be something that is critically important to address, especially at the town level.
Great. Okay, and December 4th works for you?
December 4th works.
Okay, all right. Thank you for being the backup.
Sure.
You good with that, Mr. Dean?
I'm good with it. It's great. Thank you.
Great. Thank you both. Jumping into our discussion items this evening, first up we have our town moderator, we have the supervisor of the checklist, and town clerk.
Not sure where we should
If I could ask the two of you to move back so that our supervisor of the checklist and town moderator can tell us about the election that many of you were at last week.
Thank you.
So, good evening. Before you both start, I wanted to just say, obviously, thank you to you both and to Andy Kohler and all of the volunteers. There were so many volunteers that gave up their day. It was, I think, a record. If it wasn't record-breaking, it was pretty close. I mean,
About 80% of the town voted.
wow, that's impressive, and I hope to see that many people in March. But all kidding aside, all of the volunteers were great, and there were long lines all day. But to all of your credit and the volunteers, the line moved, and the feedback that we got at as the select board is at the ballot box. I mean, I don't think we saw anybody that looked irritated, put out. Everybody was happy. Everybody was positive. And I think certainly the feedback that we've received and some of the feedback among the community has all been positive. So thank you all very, very much. And thank you to the voters for being patient and for coming out to vote. And with that, I'll turn it over to you.
Sure. My name is Kate Miller. I'm the town moderator. I'm Vicki Navoychek, supervisor of the checklist.
Jennifer Shoup, deputy town clerk.
So Andy Kohler couldn't be here. She's our town clerk. So Jennifer, who was there all day, I'll give a quick overview and then let each of you sort of chime in. As you said, it was a huge turnout. We had over 8,000 people come through the Talbot Gym, and that's an enormous precinct. I'm pretty sure it's the biggest in New Hampshire. Nationwide, a precinct usually is considered very large at 2,500. So to have 8,000, that's really big. And thank you to the school district for allowing us to use it and sort of take over the property. We had huge help from DPW, who was able to manage traffic. There was such a turnout that the roads were getting clogged up, and the access into that area is a bit challenging. So they were really instrumental in jumping in and redirecting traffic. The clerk did a magnificent job recruiting and then training volunteers, and Vicki had to train additional folks to come in as supervisors of the checklist. So all that stuff was done in advance. I think we had about 50 volunteers there based on our lists, and there were probably additional folks who helped out in addition to all of you. So it was an enormous number of people. Autos came through with free pizza for all the election workers, which was magnificent. That was a huge help. And you're right, the voters were very, very good-natured, even the ones who had to stand in the rain for the first hour or so. We really didn't have a lull, so some people came by once or twice looking for kind of a quieter time to come in to vote. I am troubled by the fact that some people weren't able to stand in line long enough to be able to come in to vote, and that's the one thing that I think we need to look at for future elections. I think this type of turnout is probably our new normal for the presidential elections, which come every 4 years. We'll probably have a pretty good turnout in 2 years for the midterm elections, but then in 4 years I think it will be good for us to look at other options, whether that means splitting our voting into 2 precincts in the town at 2 locations, whether there's, everything's on the table, at least initially, whether there's another venue that would be big enough to house all of us. The Talbot Gym is probably, I don't know, Russ, you've been here longer than I have, or Nancy, it's like 80 years old, maybe 70?
Oh, my.
75.
Yeah. I mean, it was originally destined for the Robinson Female Seminary, and then the merger of the 2 schools happened. So it goes back pretty far.
Yeah.
So it's a pretty old building, and that the parking is a challenge. So I think it'll be important maybe for us, the clerk's office, maybe one of the select board members to kind of look at options. And our goal would be to try out some different options, maybe either the next town election or the one after that. And before we have another huge election, have some time to
The next
practice.
big election will be probably 2 town meetings, and that's it.
Yeah.
Because we only have 1 election next year.
Right.
Correct, yeah. So thank you to everybody who pitched in. Jennifer, in particular, checked in every single absentee voter. It took her 11 hours with like hardly a break. We started processing the absentee ballots as soon as we could, which was 9 o'clock, and I think you finished at 8.
Exactly.
So that was like really nonstop. Our check-in clerks, the ballot clerks, they were at the peak processing 600 voters an hour, those 6 check-in clerks. So you're right, the line was moving, which helped people to have hope that they would eventually get in. But our volunteers were just phenomenal. And Vicky's folks were going full tilt, and they ended up with a huge number at the end of the day needing to register. So why don't you speak a little bit about what your experience was?
It wasn't record turnout for new voters. A lot of our voters did their due diligence prior to the election, which I'm grateful for. We still had about 750 new voters come into town. I wish that was less. There is plenty of time for people to register to vote at your town clerk's office and during our supervisors' meetings. That would avoid a lot of waiting in line. That was the longest wait for voters, and just there's no real way around that because there are affidavits and documents that need to be reviewed, et cetera. We had 4 extra supervisors, so we are a board of 3 of elected officials, so we expanded 4 extra volunteers, so very grateful for all of them. Actually, our supervisors, myself, Stacy Penna, and Michelle Burke are our supervisors. We have been meeting every single night after the election because our real work actually starts the week before the election and then runs all the way through until we have all voters accounted for and ballots and everything kind of match up. So, or rather the count, not the names in the ballots. So it went really well. I was very pleased. The attention to detail was amazing. We're seeing it now as we're entering all those new voters every evening while we're here getting through it. So our team is exhausted. We're ready to get through the process, but we'll be working through another weekend or 2 to get through. So extremely grateful for, having the space and all the volunteers, and just people checking in on us, making sure that we were watered and fed and braked. So it's a long day. We start at 6:30 and then go until 9. So we're there the entire time. So there's really rarity to break. Right. So thank you for all of you for being there as well. It was very helpful to be there. But I'm grateful that the election is over and we can now kind of just process through all the paperwork that we have.
Thank you.
So Jennifer, did you want to speak about anything with regard to the clerk's duties? You were there all day too.
I was there all day, and that was fine. It was a blur. I didn't see much of what was going on, but everything seemed to go very smoothly. I would like to take a minute just to thank the women in my office, Harmony Levitt, Lori Santora. While they weren't at the election on election day, for months we have been handling people coming in to register to vote, handling absentee ballot requests, handing them out, preparing all of those ballots to go out, and they worked tirelessly we've been doing it for months, so it kind of came together for that one day. But I want to just thank them, and then thank all of you for being there, and the volunteers were amazing. That was such a nice touch. Thank Andy for all of her hard work. She just doesn't miss a beat on any of those things. She gets it done. And then thank you to Kate for being such a good moderator. And the checklist supervisors, they know their stuff. They can answer all the questions. So it's a great team. I'm glad to be a part of it.
Thank you.
I do want to give a shout out to your decision several years ago to purchase the poll pads for the town, because if we'd been checking people in with a paper checklist, A, it would have taken a whole lot longer, and B, as Vicki says, it wouldn't have been as accurate, because when we have that press of people and the pressure of lines and the time, it's hard for the check-in clerks to do everything exactly right. So we do have a much more accurate checklist, and we've learned over time we need to have an entire team devoted just to absentee ballot processing on Election Day, and that had probably 4 or 5 people on it. We had probably about 18 people who were dedicated to updating the paper checklist in real time, because that has to go on at the same time that folks are checking in voters electronically in case there's a power outage, so we can switch to a paper checklist that will be up to date within ideally 30 minutes. And Cheryl, I don't know her last name. Cheryl was tasked with being the person in charge of doing the updating of the paper checklist.
There's a list of volunteers.
Oh, okay, great. And she managed them incredibly well. We've had a real challenge past elections with keeping that paper checklist up to date. And late in the night, we're lagging behind. They were humming along, absolutely current the entire day. Cheryl Elwell Turner, so a big shout out to her. So she did a great job managing all of them and training all of them. So I'm looking forward to when we get our new vote tabulation machines. The ones that we have function, and we didn't have any problems with them that couldn't be fixed by our capable select board who know how to undo the jams. But I think it'll be nice to get some that are more up to date and less prone to jamming. So that'll be the next sort of technological innovation.
And a few more poll pads.
Yeah, we could probably use a few more poll pads. If we had an additional one for checking in, one for the supervisors of the checklist, and one for absentees, that would be a great help.
Mr. Dean, can you take note of that, please?
I am doing that as we speak.
Mr. Chair?
Yes.
The clerk's office, obviously, every election we do is amazing. You just are so proficient and so knowledgeable, and I'm so grateful to Andy and you, Jennifer, and the rest of the team. The supervisors of checklists, they were superhuman this time. The longest lines were in your area, and you did not have breaks. You just had your head down, and you registered new voters the entire day, and I'm really grateful.
Thank you.
Finally, but not least, I am so grateful for our moderator, Kate.
Agreed.
You do such a good job. You are so knowledgeable. You do all the training and all the reading ahead of time. And Exeter's voting processes are better because you're involved. So thank you for that.
Thank you.
Thanks, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Wilson.
So I will second what Mr. Chartrand just said, but so from our perspective, we were at the machines, and people were just raving happily about the voting pads. And so the waiting time to get in was 40 to 50 minutes, but once they got through those doors, the lines weren't there for the alphabet. So huge thanks to Andy for coming up with that idea and trying to get us to, getting us to look at that option. And I just want to thank you all. It was a crazy, crazy day, as we all know. And everyone got through it with smiles on their faces, and so thank you. Thank you so much. And thank you to the voters who came out. That is huge. can we please do another plug for March? And our deliberative session?
Yes.
Too,
Yes.
that we'd like to have this problem of, and 40 minutes is not a terribly long. I think that's the other thing, that people aren't used to it here because of March. You get in, you get out. But with the turnout being 80%, can you tell me off the top of your head what our turnout for March is?
Oh, usually,
It's low.
so it's like 1,800 voters.
Yeah.
We
Right.
go from almost 11,000 ballots cast, under 11,000 ballots cast, I don't know the exact number,
Yes.
on
Yeah,
Tuesday,
and-
to 1,800.
And I think that's a
where the
huge-
rubber meets the road.
Right, I think that's really important for everyone to understand, that those waiting lines were because that's a really huge turnout for voting for a presidential election compared to,
It's record-breaking in the state of New Hampshire.
yeah. So anyway, I thought it was important to point that out so the public understands.
I do want to thank the voting public. I think they were an amazing, community of folks, even though folks are divided, people with needing accessibilities, people were ushering them through the line faster. Everybody was selfless, and I just am extremely grateful for our community. That everybody was in a good mood. I think the weather was on our side. It wasn't super cold, so I know I was so hot in the gym. And I am second Kate's recommendation for looking for another location. My hope is that we do it during town meeting because it is less impact on the voters, for chaos to be created. Where's their voting station, that sort of thing. I hope we don't split because that means the supervisors split. And there's only 3 of us in each town, so that makes it a little bit more complicated to do my job. So I'll just put that period on the end of that sentence.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, as a representative-elect, I really want to thank you for what my experience was outside, watching the voters pass by. It was so efficient that we candidates didn't have time to chat with anyone. So it was a bit different, but we saw a lot of people. The seemingly endless line when it finally started to peter out and we could see the line at the end of the row. It was a celebration. But really, the work that you did inside showed on the outside people were going in and they were coming out just as fast. And I really appreciate this, how you put it all together and made it work. Thank you.
Thanks.
Yeah, can I just add one more thing? Oh, I'm sorry, Molly. Just the exit. Thank you for doing that with the exit. Sending them down the hall instead of trying to go through that single door.
So that was Paul Scafidi. I had 2 assistant moderators. Paul Scafidi was there kind of working on the outside, and Chris Scales was working on the inside.
That was huge.
That was an enormous help to have 3 of us that could help to manage things. So Paul's very good at those logistical things.
Yeah, thank you.
I want to echo everything that my colleagues have said, and you all have said too, about the process. Thank you so much. Thank you to the voters. Thanks to people who were, it's always really fun to celebrate democracy. My rant always is how hard we make it to vote in this state. And it is, I was alerted to a letter to the editor from a supervisor of the checklist in Gilmington. There is a new law that went into effect today, actually.
Actually, it was yesterday.
Happy Veterans Day.
Yes, it was the 11th. And she noted that had the law been in effect, they would have had to deny 73 people, including 40 Republicans, 25 undeclareds, and 8 Democrats, their vote because they did not bring proof of citizenship to the
It's not just proof of citizenship that you have to bring. You have to bring all 4 pieces in order to register.
Right.
I have not done the number or tabulation of the 750 voters that we had. My guess is about half of those folks would have been turned away on Election Day.
That's horrifying.
Yeah. Yes, it is.
And it is, and I really appreciate, Vicki, your point about all of the different ways that we can register new voters. I do want to note that in 43 other states, there is online secure voter registration. In about 2/3 of other states, there is automatic voter registration. So if you show up and you are a citizen, you are automatically voted, you are automatically registered to vote. In 44 states, there is no excuse early voting. In 38 states, there is no excuse vote by mail. And we have the one thing, which is same-day voter registration. And it causes all of these long lines and burdens, and it makes people say, okay, I'm not going to go register to vote because I can do it on election day. And then you disenfranchise people who are older or don't have the time. And so I really think that we as a community can do a really better job advocating at the state level with our new current, young at heart, state rep, to really make sure that we are advocating for accessible voting, to make sure that everybody is allowed and encouraged and easily can access the ballot, because voter suppression helps nobody.
Thank you for pointing that out, Molly. I did not know about the letter to the editor or those numbers. It's really important.
I think it'll be really important, Vicki, to really understand how many people.
I will get that number as soon as we get everybody
Totally.
registered in. But yeah, as a supervisor of the checklist and a person who wants to be an avenue for access to voting, I'm extremely frustrated and beyond mad at our governor, Sununu, who didn't have to sign that bill in order to make it a law. And he's just complicated it more, and our Secretary of State also does not need to continue to remove the access at the driver's license level. And also, 98% of the population does not understand that the Real ID does not prove your citizenship in the state of New Hampshire. It only it provides us your ID and your age and your domicile if it has a correct home address for the town of Exeter. Your citizenship, even though you had to go through the exercise of doing so at the DMV level, is not viewed as citizenship here in New Hampshire for multiple reasons. First, green card holders and refugees receive them. So I have a major issue. Julie has heard me for years around access to voting, and I agree with you. So thank you for stating those numbers, because it is a grave disservice to our great state of New Hampshire and our voters that are able to vote.
So yes, on that note, I'm again, want to really thank the volunteers and the voters and everybody who showed up, because it is a right and it is a great privilege to be able to vote. So thank you so much for all of the work that you all did. We will work to make it better together. Looking at all of you guys here in the audience, it's going to be your fight too.
Yes, it's important to vote and be able to vote.
Thank you for your time. We appreciate you giving us the opportunity to meet with you all.
Of course, and thank you for your leadership, because it's the leadership from the three of you and Andy that allowed for the calming and how everybody was at ease. So however we can help you moving forward, please let us know. And again, thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you. Thank you.
Bye, guys.
Guys, thank you for coming.
Bye,
guys.
Cleared the room.
Please come back and visit.
Bye. Good to see you.
Thanks.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Have a good
Thanks,
night.
Vicky.
Thanks for coming out.
Thank you.
Thank you. Molly, thank you for that. I didn't know. I hadn't heard that yet. There's so much going on that it is. Thank you.
Good evening, Mr. Bisson. That's a tough act to follow. I
know.
remember you.
I'm glad to see so many people went out and voted, because that's what we're here for, right? Please bear with me as I get my memo.
Whenever you're ready.
All right, Mr. Chair, thank you. I'm here for a couple updates on Planet Playground and get approval for a couple of our enhancements fundraisers. First, an update. Glad to report that Land and Water Conservation Fund grant, a significant funding source for our project, has made a considerable progress. The National Park Service has officially stamped it. That's the crucial step we were waiting for. It is now back in the state's hands, ready for approval. Governor and council will be voting on it. The director of the state park system and their commissioner for the Department of Natural and Cultural Resources is currently looking over all of the sub-agreements that we will need approval to sign. And they're asking for one more certification or approval from you to accept the grant for $297,500 and to authorize the town manager and the designee to sign any agreement or sub-agreements after to complete the Planet Playground replacement project. And then after this vote, then the town clerk will fill out an authorization form, which we will submit to the state of New Hampshire. So that is the first update.
Are these all related, or are they?
These are all related to Planet Playground.
Do you want to go through your presentation, and then we
Sure.
can take up the three
Sure.
motions separately?
Yeah,
Great.
absolutely.
Thank you.
Okay. In the spring, the Rec Advisory Board and a few members of the public played a pivotal role as well as examining the approved design of Planet Playground and how we can improve it. Of course, we were limited to what funds we had, so one of the things that they, in doing a site walk and reviewing, we wanted to increase accessibility throughout the playground and to explain to the public. Originally, the design meets all state laws for accessibility in playgrounds. It says poured in place pathways. To do the entire playground poured in place is astronomically expensive, about $38 to $42 a square foot. So that was not feasible in putting that into our grant because that would have driven up the grant considerably, about $200,000. So we did not want to burden the taxpayers, so we kept it to this pathways. But then we also looked at additional ADA elements that we could add, as well as some shade structures, which, as you know, you approved. We took down some hazard trees last year. So there's a portion of the playground that is exposed to the sun now. These enhancements got estimates of totaling over $140,000. And at the Rec Advisory Board meeting in October, we discussed this and how to lessen the burden and make it more realistic for a capital campaign. So we are recommending, the Rec Advisory Board had recommended impact fees to purchase the ADA mats. These are the same ADA mats that are at Park Street Common, so anyone can see them out. This will be a great opportunity not only to make the whole entire surfacing ADA accessible, but also a great community build. We can get actually community members to get out here, move the mats, zip tie them together, and we build them like Legos. In meeting with Russ and Melissa, Assistant Town Manager, we thought it would be best to actually take them out of the Park Improvement Fund because this is an improvement and enhancement. So one of the things, and I have pictures and illustrations in your packet of what the mats look like. It's hard to depict in the pictures, but there are holes in them, so it will also help for drainage. Anyone that knows poured in place surfacing, it's a solid rubber surface, so the water needs to run somewhere. This allows for proper drainage, so it'll drain and be a lot drier. So they also decided at the October meeting that it would be best to table the shade structure, and this is one of the things we're going to get public input. Put the playground in, get feedback from those using the playground, and really see what we want for other enhancements. We may not want to spend thousands of dollars on a shade structure if we don't need it. So that's one of the things we're going to live for with a year. But the most important is getting the Alta Glide. And I put in the description in your packet of what the Alta Glide is. Anyone that sends kids to Lincoln Street School, there's an Alta Glide there. One of the most popular things. It's a wheelchair accessible glider. So anyone that's grew up in my generation remembers the glider swings that all our grandparents had. Similar to that, but it's accessible where not only adults can get on it, but children and up to 10 people can get on it in this glide back and forth. So it's accessible and it fosters social and emotional development, interactive play. So one of the things we really want to do is go out and purchase it. We went back to the installer of the playground, Pettinelli, and they would install it for free if we ordered it at the same time as we ordered the rest of the playground. Now, it came up to $26,958.82. We are looking to round it up to exactly $27,000 to run raise. But we have some exciting news, and hopefully you guys will support us. Dan Provost, who sits on our rec advisory board, had connected us with Victoria's Victory Foundation, and we had a phone call with them the beginning of October to see if they would be interested in being one of our sponsors for this project. So they have stepped up big time and offering to sponsor this project with about $10,000. One portion from the Victoria Victory Foundation and one from Project Walk. And hopefully, if you guys approve our fundraising efforts, I'd like to bring every organization in when I come to officially have you guys accept the donations from them. That way, we can highlight the importance of these organizations. Because I also, in the last couple days, I got another $5,000 pledge. So we're up to $15,000 of the $27,000. So I have a picture of what the glide looks like. We have a spot ready for it to go in the design. And it's exciting because we'll have 9 different accessible pieces in this playground. And then the whole surfacing not only will be for those kids that have mobility issues, but grandparents, kids in strollers. Parents will be able to push their kids around and on a nice unified surface and be able to enjoy all of Planet Playground. The only places the mats will not go under is a giant climbing structure we have. Obviously, you don't need mats under a climbing structure. And under the non-ADA zip line, because we want people to be able to drag their feet a little bit if they have to. So that is our presentation and our update, and I'm happy to answer any questions for you. And also in your packet, there's a trifold that David Tovey, my assistant director, and Caroline, before she went on maternity leave, actually put together. We've modified it, and we have levels. We have a platinum sponsor, $5,000 and up. We have a gold sponsor, silver, broken down like that. And with this fundraising, we'd also like to put some signage, obviously, on the Alta Glide being one, and at the beginning of the playground to kind of acknowledge their help in getting us over the hurdle.
All fitting into our procedures, obviously.
Correct.
For signage.
Yep. Yes.
Okay. This is all good stuff.
It is.
Yeah.
I have one question,
Please.
if I could.
Of course.
It's a third motion, the suggested motion.
Yep.
It's for the 27,000, but the last part of it says, any additional funds to be used toward the total cost of the ADA mats. I thought.
So one of the things
Aren't the mats covered?
we talked to Russ and Melissa, and we thought this could be an opportunity as well. The one thing we did in the fundraising effort, we want to have everyone feel like they have a part of this. If they want to donate, and if we exceed our 27,000, we could, instead of taking out a park improvement fund, just offset the cost of it, or any other enhancements we do see down the road.
Right, so do we want to put the word mats in there, or just any other enhancements?
It does say in playground enhancements at the very last sentence.
So, all right, I just worried about the mats, because I thought we were voting on that separate.
Yeah.
Suggested word?
Just to take out the mats and just leave it as any enhancements. Just because we're covering the mats on a different vote.
Sure.
That's the only thing I
So-
was going to suggest.
Strike out mats and?
Yeah.
And
or-
cost of the ADA playground
Yes.
enhancements?
Yeah.
Yep.
I think that would be in line
So
with
the
intent.
27,000, to your question, the 27,000
will cover the Alta
could
Glide.
be sort of reimbursed if you get commitments, or the commitments above and beyond the 27.
Commitments above and beyond the 27.
Understood. Okay.
Our goal is to raise a minimum of 27 to pay. And
Yeah.
I believe, without saying any organizations, some organizations have expressed interest, they just have not
Yeah.
voted on it yet.
Yeah, and it was just that the mats were in this language when we're
Right.
going to motion
Yep.
on it in another one. That's
Understood.
it. Thank you.
Thank you.
So I think you'd take out the word "the" also in the last
The pledge
motion.
To allow any additional funds to be used towards
The total cost
Total cost of
ADA,
any
of
planet, any playground enhancements,
Any-
ADA.
any ADA
Yeah, I
playground
like to keep
enhancements.
the ADA.
Yep.
Any other questions?
No, no, I'd just like to say that up at the State House, we had a bill to require the accessibility surfaces for all new playgrounds. And I used Exeter as the example of how it works and why it's beneficial to not just the kids, but grandparents, as you said, and parents, and that everybody deserves open air and space and play. And it was actually written by Representative Grossman from Exeter. Went through my committee, and everybody took a look at the pictures that I sent them and agreed, and we took it to the floor and made the argument, and so now it's a law. And so Exeter is at the forefront of adaptability.
And thank you, Julie, because both of the sponsors of the bill, actually, I spoke exclusively with them, trying to reword that so it was specific to the mats. When the state of Massachusetts Architectural Board approves those ADA mats for use on playgrounds, that's a big game changer because it's very strict down there. And just to give for those people wondering, like, well, why couldn't the mats be included in the grant? The grant has a requirement of Build America, Buy America. Unfortunately, these mats are not built in America. So they were not, and the National Park Service was not granting any waivers. So we had no other choice. The state told us, if you want to put the mats in, awesome, great job, but it's going to be all on the cost of Exeter.
Yep.
Yeah.
So
And they're important to have, so.
they're very important to have.
So thank you for, you guys have done tremendous amounts of work to try to find a way to fund this. So thank you.
And the rec advisory board did a great job in vetting the design. We tweaked it a little bit within our budget. And then now we're going above and beyond trying to make it a real community space. And we do have events planned to memorialize Play and Playground. This was a suggestion, having a last, not calling it a funeral, but a goodbye to Planet Playground, and we'll systematically be disassembling the important pieces like all those slats that have names on them, all the plackets, and then that's when the bulldozers come in. Unfortunately, it's more efficient, less opportunity to get hurt, having people try to disassemble something that is so well built, but aging and falling apart at the same time.
Opportunity for one last splinter.
Yeah, exactly. I'd rather not, Nico. So, but we want to make sure people are, and we'll advertise it well and prepared before we even start disassembling anything. This summer, we actually, there was a couple elements that broke. The chains, if anyone is familiar with Planet Playgrounds, has chains that you can walk on. Well, the chains are embedded inside of the wooden structure. So to get to the chains to fix it, you have to take the wooden structure apart, which is not feasible when you have an active playground. So we actually had to shut down, and a resident reached out to me. He's like, "Are you already tearing down Planet Playground?" I'm like, no. For your safety of your child, we had to close that down. And they totally understood. They explained it to the child. So we'll be happy when this is completed, and it'll be a brand new, fresh look that people will be excited to really attend.
Yes. And these donations, I didn't bring them up during my reports because anyone who watched the meetings would know that they were in the works, but thought it was important for Parks and Rec to be able to make that announcement when it became final.
And we're happy that Victoria's Victory Foundation and Project Walk have really, we call them our founding pledgers, because they stepped up, and anyone knows Victoria Arlen's story, it's incredible, and her mom started Project Walk for that one thing, to anyone that has autoimmune that causes paralysis and have the ability to walk again.
Yeah.
That's an important thing, and to them recognize our goal of making all of our playgrounds accessible.
Yeah, thank you.
Any other questions for Mr. Exel? We have a couple motions to tackle then. The first I would entertain a motion to accept the Land and Water Conservation Fund grant for a total of $297,500 and to authorize the town manager or their designee to sign the agreement or any sub-agreement after that to complete the Planet Playground replacement project.
So moved.
Second.
So a motion and a second. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
Mr. Chair, remember, this is Park Improvement Fund for this one.
Correct. The Capital Reserve Fund, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
I would entertain a motion to authorize the Parks and Recreation Department to expend no more than $47,500 from the Park Improvement Capital Reserve Fund for ADA playground mats from U.S. Playground surfacing to enhance Planet Playground accessibility.
So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. And the last was to motion to authorize the Parks and Recreation Department to fundraise a minimum of $27,000 to purchase the AltaGlide from Miracle for an additional ADA element enhancement to Planet Playground and to allow any additional funds to be used towards the total cost of any ADA playground enhancements.
So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries 5-0.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Greg, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Good evening, Mr. Sharples.
Good evening.
Are you here for one or two?
I'm here for both.
Okay.
The next two.
Got it.
Yeah.
Winter Street BMP?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Oh, you got.
Yeah, I was gonna speak to that.
Oops.
So that was up next.
So Dave's here for.
He's here for the next two.
Why don't we, if you're doing that one, if the board will indulge me, let's let Mr. Sharples go first.
Sure.
Since you're going to be here.
Sounds good.
So if we could hear about the New Hampshire Division of Historical Resources grant.
Thank you.
Thanks, Dave.
There's motions for the next two.
No?
Did I get two, Ray?
We can share.
No, I got it. I knew I had enough.
Thanks, Dave.
Okay, so I'm here tonight to inform you of a recent grant the town received for $15,000 as a certified local government, which we're one of, 20-something now.
In
Or
New
so.
Hampshire, it's over, I think it's around 100.
Certified local governments?
Yeah, it's gone up. It was 13
Okay.
when we got
Wow.
there. That was 15 years ago.
Yeah, okay, wow, okay, I was way off.
Yeah, that's why it's so
Because
competitive.
we were like, in Somersworth, we were like 16, and that was like 10 years ago, so it's grown considerably. Anyway, Certified Local Government Grant, there's the Division of Historical Resources gets funding every year through the federal government, and, it's a competitive grant program. We've always been pretty active in it. One thing that I've wanted to do since I got here that I mentioned in the Historic District Commission, they've been on board, but we just had other projects to do beforehand. But it is to go around and do survey forms for each individual property in the Historic District. And I give you an example. I'll just tell you, best as an example of one. I give you an example of one from another community that I did this in, and you look at it, and there's basically two components. One component is a lot of pictures. You'll see as you flip through, there's a lot of pictures of every side of the building. These are also in PDF form, so you can open them up and you can really zoom in and see the detail of dental molding. I mean, the crown molding detail. You can see all the details, so it gives you a snapshot in time of what the building looks like. Probably the real meat of it is the second page, the inside there, where it has the architectural features table. And what it does is it looks at every, the foundation, the plan, the roof, the chimneys, the dormer, siding, trim, et cetera, et cetera. and it looks at them and it defines if they're a character-defining feature or not, gives a description. And this is important because it tells you, okay, is this contribute to the historic district? Is this feature, has it been altered? Has it been, and then they go on to say, they describe the setting, the integrity of the building, how intact is it? How is the historical features, how intact are they? And then maybe a statement of significance. Sometimes it can be the architecture itself can be significant, or it can be because someone famous stayed there or something like that. So this tells you a lot. And the reason to do these forms is really to, help the homeowners understand what they have at their property as far as historical value, but also to help the Historic District Commission act on certificates of appropriateness that are before them. So they can kind of use, because a lot of times they don't get this information, they don't, the pictures are either non-existent or so something like this, you give it with every application. This goes, the survey form goes with the application, and if they're replacing the doors, they can look down. Is it a character-defining feature or not? And if it isn't, then that's a lot different approach, to it, if it is, So, been wanting to do this for a long time. I think it's a good exercise. It also, I wrote in the grant that it includes a public outreach element, and it includes a mailing. We mail out to everyone that we're going to survey. We mail it to the property owner. We tell them what we're doing, when we're doing it, and then when we're done, invite them to, call or come to me with any questions. And before we kick it off, we tell them that these people are going to be out there taking photos because, some people might, who's taking a picture of my house from the sidewalk. So we do that to inform them. And then at the end of the thing, we send them a copy of this form so they have it at the end so they can, see what they have. So I think it's a good project, very supportive of the Historic District Commission. The Division of Historical Resources supported it. And we're looking to looking for your approval to accept these funds, hire a preservation planner that would go through our purchasing policy to do, and start the survey. They plan on a start. We got to get governor and council approval, so that's still a ways out. It's probably, I would think spring. They anticipate an April 2025 start, and then you got to be complete by June 30th, 2026, which shouldn't be an issue. This should be like more of a one year. One season, we'll start in April, they like to take the pictures before leaf out, so there's no, the trees aren't in the way, so they'll probably get that out of the way and then do the work, so I would assume it'd just be kind of a spring, summer project.
This is fabulous. This is going to be such a good learning tool, and I'm not frightened of sitting on that commission tool, so I'm really looking forward to starting this process. And I'm very proud that Dave worked to get this and worked with the division to get excited about this actual type of information to hand to both the commissioners and the people that live in the houses or are proposing a change. And I think it's recommended we start on High Street because that's where most of the changes that we see are. At this point, it's the biggest historic district and it's less documented than the other ones, so this will help.
Mr. Chair.
Yes.
Yeah, I just want to echo what Selectwoman Gilman said. This is a great project. The historical nature of this town is constantly at risk by development, and to document these things is vital and critical and all important, and it really does set up the HDC and the Heritage Commission to do their work. So thank you for focusing on this.
Any other
I
comments?
have nothing to add that's not already been said, other than thank you.
I stand corrected, there are 30 CLGs.
Oh, okay. All right. I was thinking.
No,
20.
I saw the numbers from another state.
Closer now with
Yeah. And also, just finally, I forgot to mention, this is a phased project. We're not going to be able to do, there's a couple hundred, properties in the historic district. And just like it did before, I think it took me six or eight, sessions. So you will see this year after year. We will compete for it. But the beauty of it is sometimes if people don't accept, like they get the funding and then they can't pull the trigger, then this is an easy grant to say, hey, they'll call us up, and I've had that and say, can you add a couple more properties? Sure. We can always build on it because we're doing the same thing and it's just multiple phases. So you'll see us again in years to come.
I always love when you do the incremental approach. You do that so well.
Well, I'd also imagine that with the first 15,000, once you start, you'll see how many you can do with the 15, and then whether there's a grant available or we need to see if we decide it's important to pursue. We'll know what the costs would be.
Yeah, this is 100%, it's survey, so it's 100% grant funded. There's no, I put in a match of about 2,500 for AV and my time and Julie's time and the Historic District Commission's time, but it's all in kind.
Yes, yeah. Thank you.
Thank you for all your comments. And Dave, again, I sincerely appreciate how aggressive you are in pursuing any and all grants and anything that you do. I mean, the amount of money I think that you've obtained in grants. I've always asked you, Mr. Dean, if we could get that grand total, because I think it would be incredible.
Yeah, we'll work on that.
I asked
Thank
our
you.
finance department.
It's a rolling total that keeps getting updated consistently.
Keeps going up.
I think it's about $1 million since I've been here.
Fantastic. Wow. Thank you.
You're welcome.
So with
Yeah,
that, I would entertain a motion to accept $15,000 in certified local government grant funding to hire preservation professionals to complete individual survey forms for buildings located within the Exeter Historic District, and to authorize the town manager or their designee to execute any and all documents to complete the project.
So moved.
Second.
It's a motion and a second. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries 5-0.
So excited.
And you're presenting the reins.
Yeah,
fire alarm?
Kristen has Conservation Commission across the street, and I told her I'd be here, so I'll take it anyway. I'm familiar with this project. Thank you for allowing me to speak on this one. This is a request for ARPA funds to install a fire detection system for Rains Barn. And it's about $12,800. It is not about $12,815 for the system, and $700 to cover the first annual fee for the cellular connection and monitoring service. And then it is anticipated that after that, Conservation Commission will use it as one of their line items in their budget, and they will pay for that annual fee moving forward. Did bounce it around as a CIP item at first, and then I wasn't involved in those discussions, but I guess, with the town manager and Kristen, they decided maybe ARPA funds would be better suited for this, so that request is being made. It was initially as part of a larger project with the L-chip, but there just wasn't funding to make this piece happen, so we had to pull out this piece, but we'd like to add it back with ARPA funding.
And if I could add, there, I was going to, when we got to town committee, select board committee reports, we had a meeting last week with Mr. Dean, Melissa Roy, assistant town manager, Corey Stevens, the finance director, Bob Kelly, the budget recommendations committee chair, and I was there also, and we were going through the CIP, and it just seemed that for this warrant article, for the amount of money that was there, just to take away another warrant article where we had the ARPA funds, and this kind of fits into the criteria. I think we all agreed that we wanted to bring it before the select board for that
And the
consideration.
threshold changed,
Right.
right? Went from 25,000 to 75,000, so.
Correct.
So it just made sense to try to ask us for consideration for the ARPA funding.
Do we know can you tell us how much is in the ARPA?
35, I believe it's 35,000 left after
Uncommitted.
after the Complete Streets was approved.
And then the 700 a year, it's going to be 700 a year for the annual fee?
Well, that's 700 is the first annual fee. I don't know.
We don't know what, we'll deal with that at
Yeah.
next budget session.
I would assume it would hopefully stay around the same.
Yeah, well, we'll find out.
And that'll be a line item moving forward in the budget.
Yes, correct. Kristen told me that they anticipate covering the subsequent years using the Conservation Commission's contract services line item.
Well, it's important. We want to protect
Yep.
that structure. So I think this is a great idea.
Okay. Any questions or comments?
No, this is a system that we've been looking to add to the barn for years and years and years. And there are some events that we haven't been able to hold there because we don't have a fire suppression system. So I look forward to this being an even more popular space for events.
Okay. There are no other questions then. I would entertain a motion to authorize the use of up to $13,515 of ARPA funding to fund a fire detection system and first annual fee for Rains Barn.
So moved.
Second.
It's a motion and a second. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you,
Thank
Mr.
you very
Sharples.
much.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Dean?
Okay, so this is a project that Public Works has been working on for quite a while. It is a Winter Street Stormwater Best Management Practice Project. What that means in real terms is that it's a two-catch basin pre-treatment chamber and a subsurface infiltration chamber project. And this is due to the fact that we are under a permit, the NIPD's permit for wastewater treatment discharge, and this is helping with the non-point nutrient discharge requirements that we need to meet. So the department is requesting that the board consider awarding the project to Northeast Earth Mechanics, and part of that has to do with the fact that they're under the town's contract for the Webster Avenue Sewer Pump Station and Force Main project, and the grant that we're working under is going to expire by the end of this year. The contractor has a crew available and is interested in performing the work. On October 29th, the town received a bid in the amount of $149,500, a quote from Northeast Earth Mechanics. The project wasn't fully bid just because of time constraints and because they're looking to commit the ARPA funds and make sure that they get spent in time. So this, like I said, this would be for $149,500. And would be a combination of grant and ARPA funds that would allow us to complete the project.
Funds that the select board already committed to previously, correct?
That's correct.
Okay.
These ARPA funds have been committed previously.
Okay.
Are there any questions of Mr. Dean?
Got to do it.
And
Now's the time.
And Mr. Dean, the contract would be coming to you, correct?
Yes.
Okay. If there are no questions, then I would entertain a motion to award the construction bid to New England Earth Mechanics in the amount of $149,500 to facilitate installation of the best management practices prior to expiration of grant and town ARPA funds. The remaining town ARPA funds from the January 3rd, 2022 and August 8, 2022 authorizations will be utilized. The motion further authorizes the town manager or their designee to sign all associated contracts and documents.
So moved.
Second.
It's a motion and a second. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Thank you, Mr. Dean.
Thank you.
That concludes our discussion items for this evening. We'll move into our regular business. We need to have a couple things here that were not included. The first of which is to forgive me for 1 second. Mr. Dean, this is the tax collector's warrant for the second half of the year?
That's correct.
Okay. And then I would entertain a motion for the select board to approve the tax collector's warrant for the second half of the year in the amount of $33,161,092.
So moved.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries 5-0. And Mr. Dean, we had a bid that we received this morning. We could do this under permits and approvals. This is for the food vendor?
For the downtown mobile vendor permit.
Clerk, I'll give that to you.
Oh, yay.
Is this the only bid we received?
That's it. Just one this year.
And the deadline?
November 8th.
Okay. Okay, so the 2025 Downtown Exeter Mobile Food Vending Bid Proposal Application. And this is Clyde's Cupcakes. And the vending space bid is $5,000. Do you have a recommendation at this time, Mr. Dean?
Just to refer it back to the departments for review and then recommendation for award.
Okay, perfect, thank you. And you got that?
Yes. And Mr. Chair, I move to forward the application to various departments that need to approve it or review it, and come back with a recommendation, with their recommendation.
Second.
It's a motion and a second. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. And then I asked Mr. Dean to refresh our memories on what we did last year. I had some correspondence over the weekend from several downtown businesses referencing some of the parking issues that are around the IOCA. And if you recall, last year around this time, we had some concerns from some of the same businesses, and we took action. The Select Board took action, I believe, from the Thanksgiving holiday to the Christmas holiday to free up some of those spaces. And so that we could have it on the record, Mr. Dean, I asked him to provide us with what we did last year so we could consider if we want to do anything this year.
So first thing is the permit went month to month last year. That was one of the first things to consider, is that it was a monthly permit that renewed every month. So we gave us the ability to monitor what was happening outside. And this permit ended up being for a dumpster. At the time, there was a dumpster outside in the no parking zone and 5 parking spots directly in front of the IOCA building. And the time for those permits was 7 a.m. to 10:30 a.m. And, in talking within the office today, there were a couple of suggestions, one of which would be that if the board is going to consider doing this again, that we would bump the time back. But I know that there may be a broader discussion about just in general parking and having the proprietors of the project park in the municipal lot, which I know has definitely been on the table in the past. So, but those were the stipulations of the permit: 7 a.m. to 10:30 a.m. 5 spaces directly in front of the building.
Okay.
And renewed monthly.
Has that time frame been adhered to?
By and large, I would say that we haven't been actively monitoring, but I believe that in most instances it has been or has not been an issue.
Okay.
So I'm going to suggest, they need to be parked there to unload their supplies and things, right? I'm going to ask that we consider not doing it till 10:30 when the stores open at 10.
I totally agree. I was going to actually suggest that. I think if we can come up with a date, probably the Thanksgiving holiday,
Yeah.
through the Christmas holiday, if we can prohibit them from parking from 9:30 a.m. on.
That was exactly the time I was coming out.
I
That
drove by
gives them-
today, yeah.
I've driven by a lot of times, various times, and they're there. So, and I understand the need for construction people to do their job, but we really need to not go through another holiday season with our merchants downtown, not having the front of the stores blocked with construction vehicles, if we can.
And they've been, I would have to say that the business owners have been patient, and I think they've been cooperative. I think they've been understanding, and I think for this busy holiday season, my personal feeling is that's the least that we can do. I think, and I don't know where exactly the project is right now, but judging by the trucks that I see when I drive by, I think to unload at 7:30, between 7:30 and 9:30, or whatever it is they're going to do up till 9:30, judging by the size of the trucks that are there, I don't think it's anything that's going to be too inconvenient for them to carry across the street. This is my thought.
Yeah, I agree.
How much longer is that project slated to go? we don't know.
I mean, I think they've got to be almost done.
I would imagine so. I think it's, if I remembered correctly, they said spring of 2025. So we may see it continue to go through the springtime.
Their neighbors have taken the hit for almost 2 years, so
Right.
they can take the hit for a month.
So I'd like to suggest, too, that we tell them essentially that they are to take deliveries before up to 9 a.m. And
Yeah.
in that window of 7:30 to 9, just to be very clear with them on that.
What's the status of the dumpster? Can we, not have the dumpster there throughout at least the holiday parade and,
I'm
no?
not sure, is it still there?
There?
I don't think
I
it's
haven't
there.
seen it, but I didn't know
I
if
don't
it was
think
coming
there.
back.
It
That's
I
all.
don't think so.
Okay.
It came back and then it went away.
Then it went
Yeah.
away again, yeah. But it
Yeah.
could come back. I mean,
Right,
don't
I
know.
just,
I mean, they just redid the streetscape, so I think they're pretty much wrapped up.
okay.
But I'm sure there's still finished work inside, and from Thanksgiving through Christmas, if they could unload before 9 or 9:30 and then not take those spots, that would be very considerate for their
Okay.
neighboring
Yeah.
businesses.
If Darren, I think Darren's got this, if they could just check to see what the status of the dumpster use, if they intend to need another one,
Okay.
that would, I'd like to know that.
So, Mr. Dean, so that I'm clear, your office will communicate
This to Jay Caswell?
communicate to Mr. Caswell that we expect no parking spaces taken from 9:30 a.m. on from Thanksgiving through Christmas.
Right.
Is that the
Yeah,
understanding here?
that's good.
Okay. Do you need a motion, Mr. Dean, or are you?
I don't think so on this one. I think that's good.
Okay. And maybe either through your office and/or collaboratively with Mr. Wyndham, if you could communicate to the businesses that this is the action that we're taking?
Mm-hmm.
That'd be appreciated.
We will do that.
Great. Thank you. Okay, with that, we'll move to your town manager's report, please.
Okay, so last week, the office met with James Haney and his father to work on replacement of the flag retirement box, as well as EXTV to work on a PSA for the project. So that's moving along. Further details to come on that one. The Swayze Parkway gates on that project, it shifted again where we were able to get gates from the vendor that we originally had sought gates from, instead of having them fabricated. So those gates are they should be installed very soon. Bell and Flynn began their work on the 6th of November, and I'd have to take another field trip down there, but I know that they'll be paving shortly, if not have done this already. So that project is well underway and toward completion. The Pearpoint Park fence, if you haven't had a chance to see it, the chain link fence was installed on Thursday, the 7th of November, and that replaces the stockade fence for better visibility, so you can definitely notice a difference over there. Looks really good. In financial news, the DRA set the town's tax rate at $17.79 per thousand. So that's a decrease of $8.99 per thousand. I wanted to say thanks to Corey Stevens and to Donna Bennett, our deputy tax collector, who've been working hard to get the tax bills put together, and they are at the printers, and people should start seeing them. I would expect maybe within, I'm going to be conservative and say 7 days, but you may see them sooner than that. So, and just to remind people that this will have the effects of the revaluation in it. So there are some certain things that will be evident as part of that. One is that if you've received an exemption or a credit on your bill, you may see an increase in your bill that's fairly significant because of the way exemptions and credits work, and we're ready to answer questions about that as we go. So the groundwater testing is still on schedule for November 13th, so that is coming up tomorrow on Drinkwater Road, and we're crossing our fingers hoping that for good things from that. And today we spent the majority of the day interviewing construction managers for the police station fire substation project. We had 5 bidders that all very qualified, and We're in the process of narrowing down the list for a recommendation for the board. We had a wide committee, obviously, that's involved with that, including the chiefs and the assistant town manager and town planner heading up the process. So it was a very successful day, interviewing some very good firms. And on speed limits, just to follow up on that, we did receive information from town council regarding changing speed limits, and we're going to implement a speed study through the police department as our first step, and I think we will be able to make some progress on that. So that's good news. It doesn't seem like the red tape is too much to be able to do that. So looking forward to bringing something back to the board on that. We're continuing to work on the 27th pay period issue, and you should have more information on that at your next meeting. But the executive team and I have been meeting on that and discussing options. And I believe that's all I had, Mr. Chair.
Okay. Thank you. Any questions of Mr. Dean?
Yeah, I did. About that grant we got for demolition for the project by the Gateway, I believe. Have you verified that the town can spend that in any manner?
I don't have an update on that yet.
Okay.
Yeah, we're still working on that.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you for that question.
And did you want to talk, Mr. Chair, about the employee appreciation days?
I would like to talk about that, particularly since I believe Selectwoman Cowan won't be here at our next meeting.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
we, as we've done over the last couple of years in appreciating our employees around the holidays, we're looking at giving some additional extra time off. I believe last year we gave, was it the day before or after Christmas? I think it was after Christmas,
After
correct?
Christmas.
Day after Christmas, and we gave a half day at Thanksgiving. I spoke with Mr. Dean and Ms. Roy this afternoon, and we ran a couple of different options that we wanted to present to the board. What makes the most sense in keeping the continuity of the town office being open would be for the board to consider giving the employees a half day on Wednesday, November 27th, the day before Thanksgiving, and for closing the town office completely on December 24th to give folks a day off before Christmas, and then also giving folks a half day on December 31st. So open that up for discussion.
I'm in favor of it.
Yeah, those are good.
Yeah, I think that's great.
Okay.
I like that we do this.
Me too.
And the employees are very appreciative of the board's
Well, then it's mutual.
efforts
We're
on this.
appreciative of them.
So thank
So
you.
It's the least small thing that we can do.
Yeah.
Do you need a formal motion, or?
I think so, yes, on
Okay.
this.
All right. Then I would entertain a motion to authorize the town manager to close the town office at noon on Wednesday, November 27th, to close the town office completely on December 24th, and to close the town office at 12 p.m. on December 31st.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, Mr. Dean.
Thank you.
Select Board Committee reports. We'll
I
start
don't
with-
have one.
You don't have one? Wow.
I will be brief also. The only thing that I had was not a committee meeting, but it was the Local Energy Solutions Conference attended by several of the Energy Committee members. And we've been discussing whether or not the Electric Vehicle Day is keeping up its interest, because electric vehicles are becoming more common, and dealerships have been winding down their show. Like, we have less activity around who's going to show vehicles. But at this energy solution, I think we came across several different programs that we could start to look at, and found some great grant opportunities for homeowners, not just for the town to distribute, which includes everything for energy savings all the way down to appliances, new appliances. So once we get the whole gist of that, we can put that out there.
Terrific.
And
Thank you.
That's it.
Selectman Cowan?
I have no committee reports, but I would love to stay vigilant as a community and as a town and as the stewards of our own taxpayers over what the next couple of years are going to look like, based on what is happening with revenue in the state of New Hampshire, the disappearance of ARPA funding, what the education costs are going to be, the cost for the Sununu Center, and how that is impacting our own taxpayers, because I think that nobody is telling that story.
Nobody is.
Thank you. Selectman Chartrand.
Other than attending the 2 Budget Recommendation Committee meetings the past 2 Wednesdays, I have no report.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Admittedly, I missed the BRC meeting last Wednesday, the day after the election, but I did go to the police and fire with the rest of you. Had the meeting last week with Mr. Dean, Ms. Roy, Mr. Stevens, and Mr. Kelly that I alluded to earlier. We had a tree committee meeting this morning, and I think the main conversation was based on, we had our representative from Unitil there. There was a misunderstanding with the Unitil crew and a citizen over a tree that Unitil, I guess, started taking down or started trimming, because how they look at a tree and whether it's dangerous or not, or whether it needs to come down, is different than how the tree committee or our tree warden would look at it. Our tree warden, Mr. Perkins, was there, as well as Kirk Scammon, and apparently they had interaction with the Unitil supervisor who was on that shift, and according to our Unitil representative, that supervisor was spoken to. So because of the misunderstanding, Unitil is in the process. This is not definite. That's what Greg was alluding to earlier. But the tree committee and Mr. Perkins are trying to negotiate receiving an amount of trees from Unitil, and they're willing to donate those trees or offer them up in lieu of that tree. And the negotiation at this point is just basically what type of tree, how many, and where to put them. So,
Can I say something about that? I really appreciate you talking about that. I have watched Unitil name so many trees in our community, and I am so delighted that the tree committee and Mr. Perkins and Mr. Scammon are advocating for our trees. I understand that they need to take care of the power lines, but sometimes they go way beyond their charge and they maim these trees that took years to grow. So I'm delighted that this conversation is happening, and I urge all 3 of those entities or individuals to continue to be on guard and to engage Unitil. Makes me very happy to hear that's happening.
no, and it was eye-opening and educational. There was a member of, it was an abutter came to the tree committee, and who has a background in forestry, and I think he's also an arborist, and he'd done some landscape architecture. I mean, he was very knowledgeable, and excuse me, it was great to hear him speak on behalf of the neighborhood, and obviously Mr. Perkins was speaking on behalf, but the Unitil representative herself, she is an arborist, and it was great that they could have that peer-to-peer conversation, and the abutter left the meeting very satisfied in how she reacted and what her response was. And even though they didn't completely agree on everything, it was nice to see that he left satisfied that Unitil was stepping up to do this. So I think it was, in this particular case, it was an example of whoever was leading the charge for Unitil that day, didn't get the memo about when a citizen comes out and says, "Don't touch my tree," they're supposed to stop until they can contact Unitil and have Mr. Perkins come out and all that. So it was pretty nice to hear how that process should work.
So thank you to that citizen arborist as well.
Yeah.
And that's all I had. Correspondence with one piece. Mr. Dean, did you want to speak to the name change?
Yes, this is WomanAid is changing their name to, they're now going to be called Exeter Area WomanAid.
Okay. Reviewing the board calendar, November 25th, December 9th, and December 23rd will get us through 2024. And I understand we won't be here. Any other business of the board before I entertain a motion? Seeing none, I'd entertain a motion to enter into non-public under RSA 91A 32A.
So moved.
It's a motion and a second. Any discussion? Seeing none, Madam Clerk, please.
Selectman Chartran.
Aye.
Selectwoman Cowan.
Aye.
Selectwoman Belanger.
Aye.
And the clerk says aye. Mr. Chair.
Aye. Motion passes 5-0. The board will be moving into non-public. Thank you.
Thank you for tuning in to Exeter TV. Exeter TV is the town's public and government access channels, available on Comcast Channels 6 and 22. Channel 6 is your channel. If you have an idea for a program, want to host your own talk show, or submit a film, we're here to get your content on television. On Channel 22, we bring you live and replay coverage of government meetings and other town updates. A third channel, Blue Hawk Media, is operated by SAU 16 and can be found on Channel 8, with all your school sports, events, and meetings. You can watch Exeter TV online at exeternh.tv, Apple TV, and on Roku. Find us on social media for extra content. Subscribe to our YouTube channel and hit the bell to get notified about live streams and new content. Tune in to our platforms every other Friday to watch the Exeter Biweekly Report, with recaps of recent events, updates from town departments, and messages from nonprofits in your area. If you head to our website, exeternh.tv, we invite you to sign up to our newsletter to receive monthly updates about new content, upcoming meetings, and more. We'd like to thank you for taking the time to watch Exeter TV and hope that you tune in to our other content as well.